The Romulan warships punched into our star system like a hammer blow, their menacing alien hulls casting off the inky blackness of the void as they locked onto Earth with ravenous intent. They expected to find an easy meal, a primitive blue world ripe for the taking. But they didn't expect to find Bruce Wells on routine patrol. Bruce's sensors shrilled alarms as data flooded in, the massive scope of the Romulan incursion hitting him like a plasma blast. Hundreds of capital ships, thousands of fighters, an entire invasion force bent on subjugating humanity beneath the iron boot of the Galactic Empire. The ruthless warlord Galen led this attack himself, so assured of his impending victory, he was already broadcasting demands for Earth's unconditional surrender. There were some on the Defense Council who argued for capitulation, a few projected scenarios that didn't end in humanity's extinction. But Bruce knew in his gut that Galen and his armies would never stop until every last human knelt before them as slaves. No, there was only one path forward. They had to fight. Bruce took command of Earth's defense fleet, a ragtag collection of ships hopelessly outclassed by the looming Romulan armada. He stared down at his tactical display, the blinking red icons of enemy ships blotting out the stars. They outnumbered him 100 to 1. His fighters would be swatted from the sky like flies. His cruisers crumpled like tin cans. And yet Bruce felt no fear, only cold resolve. He would not watch his people bombarded into submission. He would not allow the Romulans to blockade and starve them. He would lead the charge himself, take the fight to the enemy, and show them what it meant to threaten Earth. The survival of the entire human race hung on this battle. Failure was not an option. As the two fleets clashed above the soft blue curve of humanity's homeworld, emerald lances of Romulan weapons fire crisscrossed with the sapphire bolts of Earth's defenders in a lethal light show. The first human ships died in flame within seconds, hopelessly overpowered by superior alien tech. The Romulan ships shrugged off direct hits like biting insects. Bruce gritted his teeth against despair as the Romulan war machine ground inexorably through his fleet, casualties mounting by the second. Everything was on the line now. The end of human civilization itself. The Romulans had made a fatal error thinking Earth would fall easily. Bruce would make them regret it, even if he had to ram their damn flagship himself. No matter the cost, no matter the sacrifice, humanity would not go quietly into the long night. Amidst the chaotic din of battle, Bruce's comm crackled with an emergency transmission from the moon base. Commander Wells, this is Lunar Outpost Alpha. We have a critical situation. A cloaked Romulan strike force has breached our perimeter and sabotaged the ion cannon defenses. They've knocked out our primary systems. Earth is wide open to orbital strikes. Bruce hit his fist on the console. The Romulans couldn't damage Earth's cities, not while he still drew breath. Corporal, I'm taking a detachment of Space Marines to the lunar surface. We'll handle those Romulan bastards personally. You have the bridge. In the armory, Bruce grabbed his trusty plasma rifle and sealed his red and gold command armor, the servos whirring to life. His squad of battle-hardened Marines assembled in the hangar bay, checking weapons and psyching themselves up. The Marines' dropship streaked toward the gray lunar surface, Bruce studying holomaps of the compromised base. The Romulans would likely try to cripple the backup generators and escape. His men needed to cut them off. The dropship doors blasted open and the Marines stormed out, fanning into formation amidst the airless lunar landscape. Bruce took point, scanning for contacts on his HUD. Motion signatures pinged on his tracker. There. A dozen cloaked Romulans shimmered into view, emerging from the shadows with disruptor rifles blazing emerald death. The humans dived to cover, returning fire with blue plasma bolts. Two Marines crumpled under the onslaught, armor breached. "Flank and suppress!" Bruce barked into the squad comms. He activated his gravity boots and jetpack, bounding over the Romulans' firing line. The alien raiders swiveled to track him, their shots sparking off his armor's reactive shielding. Bruce flew into their midst like an avenging angel, unleashing hell from his rifle. Plasma bursts stitched smoking holes through Romulan armor at point-blank range. He smashed one invader with an augmented kick, sending him flying back in the low gravity. The Marines pressed the assault, taking down Romulans with pinpoint shots from the high ground. Bruce cleaved through their crumbling ranks, a whirlwind of death in crimson armor slick with green blood. At last, the final Romulan slumped to the ground, thoroughly perforated. Bruce took stock of his squad, 3 dead, 5 wounded. A hard fight, but they'd prevailed. He opened a channel to the outpost commander. Alpha Base, this is Commander Wells. Romulan strike force neutralized. What's the status of the ion cannons? We need them back online ASAP. The commander's voice crackled over the link. Stand by. Generators powering up now. Ion cannons recalibrating on your current target lock. Ready to fire on your command. Open fire, target the Romulan flagship. High above, titanic ion beams lanced from the lunar batteries, stabbing into the void with blinding radiance. On the bridge of his warship, Galen watched in stupefied horror as the cannons punched through his shields like paper, shredding through multiple decks. Damage alarms screamed and consoles exploded in showers of sparks. Impossible! Galen snarled. Helmsman, evasive maneuvers. Divert all power to shields and engines. But it was too late. The Earth fleet, rallied by Bruce, poured plasma fire and missiles into the stricken Romulan flagship's hull breaches. The barrage ruptured the ship's main reactor, and the mighty alien battleship vanished in a mini supernova. Cheers erupted on the human ships as debris rained across their view screens. The Romulan fleet, suddenly leaderless, fell into panicked disarray as human reinforcements from the outer colonies dropped out of hyperspace. Plasma beams and kinetic slugs savaged the invaders from all sides. On the flagship's secondary bridge, Commander Varan assumed fleet command with a scowl, surveying the deteriorating situation grimly. All ships fall back and regroup at Rally Point Beta. Retreat! Battered and bloody, the Romulan armada limped away from Earth orbit, their grand invasion blunted. Hyperspace portals flared and the alien vessels vanished one by one, leaving only wreckage and corpses in their wake. Bruce sagged into his command chair, weary but triumphant. They'd done the impossible today, snatching victory from certain defeat. But even as he watched Earth's cities light up in celebration, he couldn't shake a prickling sense of unease. This was only the beginning. He could feel it in his bones. Something darker lurked behind this onslaught, some greater threat yet to reveal itself. And when it did, Bruce and humanity would need to be ready. Bruce stood on the bridge of the flagship, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the aftermath of the battle. The remnants of destroyed Romulan ships drifted silently in Earth's orbit. He exhaled slowly, allowing himself a brief moment of relief before the next crisis hit. A soft beep from his wrist computer broke the silence. Bruce tapped the device, revealing an encrypted message. His eyes widened as he read the contents. Shit, he muttered. Captain Jack Reese approached. What is it, sir? Bruce looked up grimly. Our operative in Romulan space just made contact. Galen survived. Jack's face hardened. How? Escape pod, apparently. He's holed up on Romulus Prime now. Bruce paused, his jaw clenching. And he's got a new toy. He quickly briefed Jack and the senior staff on the quantum singularity cannon. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. We have to stop them, Sergeant Marcus Kim said, breaking the silence. Before they can use that thing on Earth. Bruce nodded. Agreed. I'm putting together a strike team. We're going to infiltrate Romulus Prime and destroy that weapon. Over the next few hours, Bruce assembled his team and laid out the plan. They would use a captured Romulan stealth ship to slip past the planet's defenses undetected. As they prepared to depart, Bruce addressed the team. I won't lie to you. This mission is high risk, but the fate of Earth depends on our success. We're the only ones who can stop this threat. The team boarded the Romulan vessel, its alien controls and cramped interior a constant reminder of the danger they faced. As they approached Romulus Prime, tension filled the air. Sensors detecting planetary defenses, Marcus reported. Cloaking device engaged. They held their breath as they passed through the orbital security grid. Seconds ticked by like hours until finally Marcus exhaled. "We're through. They didn't detect us." The ship touched down in a clearing surrounded by dense jungle. As the team disembarked, the alien environment assaulted their senses. Strange bird-like creatures screeched in the distance. The air was thick and humid, with an unfamiliar metallic scent. "Move out," Bruce ordered. "Stay alert. This place is crawling with Romulan patrols." They pushed through the undergrowth, each step bringing them closer to Galen's fortress. Suddenly, a massive shape burst from the foliage. A reptilian predator, easily twice the size of a man, lunged at them with razor-sharp claws. "Contact!" Jack yelled, opening fire with his plasma rifle. The creature roared in pain and anger as energy bolts seared its thick hide. Bruce dove to the side, narrowly avoiding a swipe that would have taken his head off. He rolled to his feet and fired, his shots joining Jack's. The combined firepower finally brought the beast down. "Everyone okay?" Bruce asked, scanning the jungle for more threats. They pressed on, evading Romulan patrols with a combination of stealth tech and old-fashioned bushcraft. Finally, they crested a ridge and saw their target, a massive fortified complex nestled in a valley below. Bruce outlined the final phase of the plan. "Marcus, you're on sabotage duty. Take out their power and sensors. Jack, you'll lead the diversion. Keep them busy while I go for the cannon." The team split up, each group moving toward their objectives. Bruce watched as Marcus slipped into a maintenance tunnel, then nodded to Jack. "Good luck." "You too, sir," Jack replied. "See you on the other side." Bruce made his way toward the central command center, using the chaos of Jack's diversion to slip past the guards. He found himself in a massive chamber dominated by a towering device that could only be the quantum singularity cannon. "Welcome, Commander Wells," a voice echoed through the room. Galen stepped out from behind the cannon, a cruel smile on his face. "I've been expecting you." Bruce raised his weapon, but Galen was faster. A disruptor blast knocked the rifle from his hands. "You're too late," Galen gloated. "The cannon is primed and locked onto Earth. Your pathetic planet will be reduced to cosmic dust." "Not if I have anything to say about it," Bruce growled, charging at the Romulan warlord. The two collided in a furious exchange of blows. Bruce's enhanced strength met Galen's genetically engineered physique in a brutal contest. They grappled for control, neither willing to give an inch. Bruce felt a rib crack under a vicious punch but pushed through the pain. He couldn't fail, not with Earth's fate in the balance. With a surge of desperate strength, Bruce broke Galen's hold and slammed him against the cannon's control panel. Before the Romulan could recover, Bruce's fingers flew over the alien interface, inputting the self-destruct sequence. Alarms blared as the cannon began to overload. Galen's eyes widened in horror. "No! Do you realize what you've done?" Bruce didn't waste time responding. He sprinted for the exit as the chamber began to shake violently. Behind him, he heard Galen's scream of rage cut short by a deafening explosion. The corridors were chaos as Bruce fought his way out of the crumbling base. He found Jack and Marcus at the rendezvous point, looking battered but alive. "The ship, now!" Bruce shouted over the din of destruction. They piled into the Romulan vessel and took off, narrowly escaping as the fortress collapsed behind them. From orbit, they watched in awe as a massive singularity consumed the planet's surface. "My God," Jack whispered, "the whole planet—" Bruce's expression was grim. "We did what we had to do, but this isn't over. The Romulan fleet is still headed for Earth." As they set course for home, Bruce couldn't shake the feeling that this victory was just the beginning of something much larger. Whatever came next, he knew humanity would face it head-on. The Romulan stealth ship streaked through space, racing against time to reach Earth before the invasion fleet. Inside, Bruce and his team prepared for the battle that would decide the fate of their world and their species. The Romulan stealth ship burst out of hyperspace, Earth's blue orb filling the viewscreen. Bruce exhaled in relief, but his respite was short-lived. Proximity alarms blared as Romulan warships decloaked around them. "Evasive maneuvers," Bruce barked. The pilot's hands flew across the controls, narrowly avoiding disruptor blasts that seared past the hull. "We can't fight through that blockade," Jack said, gripping his chair as the ship lurched. Bruce's eyes darted across the tactical display. "There, that asteroid base. Can we reach it?" The pilot nodded grimly. "If we're lucky." They dove toward the pockmarked asteroid, weaving through debris as Romulan fire chased them. With a bone-jarring thud, they docked in a concealed hangar. Inside the base, Bruce established a comlink to Earth Command. General Chen's haggard face appeared on screen. "Commander Wells, thank God. The Romulans are—" A massive explosion rocked the feed. Bruce watched in horror as golden beams lanced down from orbit, carving smoking furrows through New York's skyline. "They're bombing every major city," Chen continued. "Our orbital defenses are falling. Millions are dead already." A new face pushed into view. Commander Varan, his eyes blazing with hate. "Surrender now, humans, or watch your civilization burn." Bruce cut the feed, his mind focused. "Not a chance, you pointy-eared bastard." He turned to his team. "Marcus, I need you to infiltrate their command ship and upload this virus. It'll cripple their systems. Jack, take a strike team and seize one of their destroyers. We'll hit them from the inside." Marcus nodded, slipping the data chip into his armor. "Consider it done, sir." Using captured Romulan shuttles, they launched their high-stakes endeavor. Marcus's team used sensor ghosts and holographic decoys to slip through the Romulan fleet's perimeter. They latched onto the command ship's hull, burning through with plasma torches. Inside, Marcus crept through dimly lit corridors, dodging patrols. He reached the computer core and uploaded the virus. Alarms blared. He spun, firing his rifle as Romulan guards poured in. Plasma bolts sizzled past his head as he dove for cover. Meanwhile, Jack's team materialized aboard a Romulan destroyer. They charged out of the transporter room, catching the alien crew off guard. Blood-green ichor splattered the walls as they fought their way to the bridge in a brutal close-quarters melee. Jack vaulted over a console, stunning the Romulan captain with a vicious right hook. He shoved the alien aside and seized the weapon controls. "Payback time, you bastards." On the crippled Romulan flagship, Varan raged as systems failed across the ship. "What treachery is this? Destroy that human vessel!" But it was too late. Jack's stolen destroyer opened fire, emerald beams slicing through the command ship's weakened shields. The flagship vanished in a colossal fireball. Bruce coordinated with Earth's remaining defenses, rallying a massive counterattack. Fighters swarmed from hidden bunkers. Orbital batteries that had played dead came online, catching the Romulans in devastating crossfire. One by one, Romulan ships fell to the furious assault. Those that tried to flee were hunted down ruthlessly. The remaining vessels regrouped, preparing for a desperate jump to hyperspace. Bruce allowed himself a grim smile. Not this time. He input the final command, using the virus to trigger a cascading overload in the Romulan warp cores. From the asteroid base viewports, Bruce watched the Romulan fleet tear itself apart in a series of titanic explosions. Silence fell over the command center as the last fires guttered out, leaving only drifting debris. The asteroid base shook violently as another Romulan vessel detonated nearby. Bruce steadied himself against a console, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. The last remnants of the Romulan fleet were being systematically obliterated. A sudden burst of static erupted from the comm system. Bruce frowned, tapping controls to clear the interference. A garbled transmission cut through the white noise. "Delta Station to Earth Command. Massive energy signatures detected. Orion Nebula, millions of ships, Zarshan Alliance insignia." Bruce's blood ran cold. He locked eyes with Jack, who had gone pale. "Play it again," Bruce ordered. As the message repeated, the implications sank in. They had barely survived the Romulan onslaught, and now an even greater threat loomed. Bruce called an emergency meeting with Earth's remaining military leadership. Holographic projections flickered to life, showing grim-faced commanders from around the globe. General Chen's avatar spoke first. "The long-range scans confirm it. The Zarshan fleet makes the Romulan force look like a scouting party. Images of the approaching armada filled the air, countless ships stretching as far as the eye could see. Bruce studied the alien vessel's design, sleek, predatory, jam-packed with weapons beyond human comprehension. "How did they find us?" someone asked. "The battle with the Romulans," Bruce replied. "All that energy we unleashed, we might as well have sent up a flare." Silence fell as the magnitude of the threat sank in. Humanity's defenses were shattered, their populations decimated. There was no way to stand against such overwhelming force. Bruce's mind raced, searching for options. A desperate plan began to form. "We can't beat them in a straight fight," he said, "but we might be able to cripple their command structure." He outlined his strategy, a covert strike team to infiltrate the Zarshan flagship, while the remaining human forces engaged in guerrilla tactics to sow chaos and create an opening. "It's a long shot," General Chen said. "It's the only shot we've got," Bruce countered. After heated debate, Earth's leaders reluctantly agreed. There were no better options. Bruce turned to Jack. "I need you to lead the guerrilla campaign. Keep those bastards off balance while we go for the throat." Jack nodded grimly. "Consider it done." Bruce assembled his infiltration team, a handful of elite space marines, along with Marcus Kim, whose expertise with alien tech would be crucial. They boarded a modified stealth shuttle, its hull coated with reverse-engineered Romulan cloaking technology. As they prepared for launch, Bruce addressed his squad. "I won't lie to you. The odds are stacked against us, but Earth is counting on us. We're all that stands between humanity and extinction." The shuttle slipped out of the asteroid base, accelerating towards the approaching Zarshian armada. Bruce watched as the first wave of human fighters streaked past, beginning their hit-and-run attacks. Explosions blossomed in the distance as Jack's squadrons struck isolated Zarshan vessels. The massive alien fleet began to fragment, pursuing the nimble human craft into the asteroid field. Bruce's shuttle threaded through the chaos, its cloaking field hiding them from Zarshan sensors. They approached the colossal flagship, a behemoth that dwarfed even the largest human capital ships. "Initiating docking sequence," the pilot reported. Bruce felt the shuttle shudder as it latched onto the Zarshan vessel's hull. He double-checked his gear, then nodded to Marcus. "Let's go." They activated their camouflage fields and exited the shuttle. Bruce watched as Marcus expertly manipulated an alien alloy cutter, slowly carving through the flagship's armored hide. Layer by layer, they burrowed into the massive ship. Finally, they breached the interior. Bruce's team spread out, covering all angles as they entered the alien corridor. The passageway stretched into darkness, its walls pulsing with strange bioluminescent patterns. Bruce signaled the squad forward. They crept through the ship's labyrinthine interior, narrowly avoiding Zarshan patrols. Bruce's heart pounded as they passed mere inches from towering alien warriors, their camouflage fields the only thing preventing detection. Marcus guided them towards the central computer core, consulting his wrist-mounted holodisplay. They reached a massive set of doors, covered in intricate alien script. "This is it," Marcus whispered. "Once we're inside, I'll need 2 minutes to upload the virus." Bruce nodded. "Do it." The doors hissed open. They rushed inside, weapons ready. The computer core loomed before them, a writhing mass of crystalline structures and pulsing energy conduits. Marcus immediately set to work, interfacing his equipment with the alien technology. Bruce's instincts screamed a warning. He spun, raising his weapon. A horde of Zarshian warriors poured into the chamber. Plasma bolts filled the air as Bruce's team returned fire. "We've been set up!" someone shouted. Bruce dove for cover, his mind racing. How had they known? He pushed the thought aside, focusing on survival. "Marcus, how much longer?" 30 seconds. Bruce popped up, hosing down approaching Zarshans with his rifle. The aliens fell in droves, but more kept coming. "Virus uploaded!" Marcus yelled. "Fall back!" Bruce ordered. They fought their way out of the computer core, leaving a trail of alien corpses in their wake. But the Zarshans had cut off their escape route. Bruce and Marcus found themselves separated from the rest of the squad, surrounded by a sea of hostile aliens. Bruce's rifle clicked empty. He drew his sidearm, knowing it wouldn't be enough. Suddenly, the ship lurched violently. Alarms blared as systems began to fail. The virus, Marcus grinned. It's working. Bruce seized the moment of confusion. Move! They sprinted through the disoriented Zarchian ranks, shooting and shoving their way towards the extraction point. The flagship shuddered around them, entire sections beginning to tear apart. They reached the outer hull, gasping for breath. Their shuttle was still there, its hatch open and waiting. Go! Bruce shoved Marcus inside, then leapt in after him. The shuttle blasted away from the dying flagship. Through the view screen, Bruce watched as the massive vessel was consumed in a titanic explosion. As they rendezvoused with Jack's squadrons, Bruce saw the ripple effect spreading through the Zarchian fleet. Without their command ship, the aliens fell into disarray. Bruce allowed himself a small smile. They had bought Earth a chance, but he knew the war was a long way to go. Bruce's eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display. The destruction of the Zarchian flagship had left a gaping hole in the enemy's formation. He keyed his comm. Jack, you seeing this? Affirmative, Jack's voice crackled back. Their flank is wide open. Hit them hard. Concentrate fire on isolated targets. Copy that. All squadrons form up on me. We're going hunting. Bruce watched as Jack's fighters swarmed towards the disorganized Zarchian fleet. Explosions blossomed in the void as the nimble human craft tore into alien warships. Marcus, you ready? Bruce asked. Marcus nodded, hefting his gear. Let's do this. Their stealth shuttle slipped away from the main battle, accelerating towards the distant orb of Orcs. As they approached the Zarchian shipyards, Bruce's pulse quickened. Massive construction arrays loomed ahead, alien alloys glinting in the starlight. Perimeter defenses ahead, the pilot warned. Bruce gripped his rifle. Take us in low and fast. The shuttle skimmed the surface of Orcs, weaving between towering structures. Alien turrets tracked their approach, filling the air with plasma fire. The shuttle rocked violently as a bolt grazed their hull. We're hit, the pilot shouted. Keep going, Bruce ordered. They crashed through a barrier, skidding to a halt inside a cavernous hangar. Bruce's team poured out, engaging the Zarchian security forces in close-quarters combat. Alien shrieks filled the air as both sides exchanged fire. Bruce ducked behind a pillar, plasma bolts sizzling past. He leaned out, dropping 2 Zarchians with precise shots. Marcus, get to the control hub! Marcus sprinted forward, vaulting over alien corpses. He reached a bank of pulsing crystals, fingers flying over the alien interface. I'm in. Accessing drone controls now. Bruce provided covering fire as Marcus worked. Suddenly, the shipyard came alive around them. Construction drones whirred to life, assembly lines spinning into motion. It's working, Marcus shouted. The drones are replicating. Bruce watched in awe as swarms of attack drones poured from launch tubes, streaming towards the distant battle. On his tactical display, he saw the tide turning as the drones tore into Zarchian capital ships. New contact, the sensor officer shouted. Massive Zarchian carrier bearing down on our position. Bruce's mind raced. This was their chance to strike a decisive blow. All units converge on that carrier, he ordered. We're taking it. Their captured shuttle rocketed towards the colossal alien vessel. Bruce's strike team used breaching charges to blast through the hull, storming inside. The corridors were a maze of alien technology. Bruce led the charge, his rifle spitting death as they fought their way to the bridge. Zarchian crew members fell before their onslaught. They burst onto the command deck in a hail of gunfire. Bruce tackled the alien captain, grappling with its tentacles as they crashed to the deck. He banged his head into its face, stunning it long enough to put a plasma bolt through its skull. Marcus, get on those weapon systems. Marcus slid into the alien gunner's seat, interfacing with the strange controls. The massive ship shuddered as its main cannon roared to life. On the tactical display, Bruce watched Zarchian dreadnoughts crumble under the carrier's overwhelming firepower. One by one, the alien capital ships fell silent. "They're retreating!" someone shouted. Bruce allowed himself a moment of satisfaction as the Zarchian fleet fled, but his blood ran cold as new data streamed in. "Sir," the sensor officer said, "long-range scans are picking up another Zarchian armada. It's huge." Bruce's expression resolute. This fight was a long way to go. Bruce's eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical readouts. The massive Zarchian armada loomed on the edge of their sensors, a swarm of alien warships that blotted out the stars. "We can't beat that," Jack muttered, his face grim. Bruce nodded, his fists tight. "Not in a straight fight." He turned to face the holographic projection of Karis, the Romulan commander's alien features twisted in a scowl. "You have a plan, human?" Karis asked, his voice dripping with disdain. Bruce leaned forward, hands planted on the briefing table. "We hit them where they least expect it, their homeworld." Karas's eyes widened. "Impossible. The Zarchian throne world is the most heavily fortified planet in the galaxy." "Which is why they'll never see us coming," Bruce countered. He gestured to the Romulan. "Your cloaking technology, our best operatives. We slip past their defenses and take out their leader before the invasion can begin." Karas hesitated, his reptilian eyes narrowing. "And why should I trust you, human?" "Because if we fail, your people die alongside mine," Bruce snapped. "This is our only shot." After a tense moment, Karis nodded. "Very well, but I will not risk my own forces on this fool's errand." Bruce turned to Jack. "Assemble our best. You, Marcus, and a handful of our toughest veterans. We leave in an hour." As Jack hurried off, Bruce studied the schematics of their modified stealth ship. The experimental quantum slipstream drive hummed ominously, a testament to the desperation of their mission. Hours later, they hurtled through the void, the fabric of space-time warping around their vessel. Bruce gripped the command chair as reality itself seemed to stretch and twist. With a violent lurch, they emerged in the Orion Nebula. Through the view screen, Bruce saw a hellscape of radioactive storms and twisted metal, the Zarchian throne world. "Cloaking field holding," Marcus reported from his station, fingers dancing over alien controls. "No sign they've detected us." Bruce nodded grimly. "Take us in, low and fast." They skimmed the planet's toxic atmosphere, weaving between towering industrial spires that belched foul smoke into the sky. Zarchian patrols swarmed below, oblivious to the cloaked ship slipping past their defenses. "There," Jack pointed to a colossal structure looming on the horizon. "That has to be it." The ziggurat pierced the clouds, its alien architecture an affront to human senses. Bruce felt a chill run down his spine as they approached. "Set us down there," he ordered, indicating a secluded landing pad, "and pray our luck holds." The strike team disembarked, activating personal cloaking fields. Bruce led the way, his boots crunching on the radioactive soil. He heard Jack curse softly behind him. "My God," Jack whispered, "now what is that?" Bruce followed his gaze and saw a lumbering monstrosity in the distance. Its flesh was a patchwork of cybernetic implants and cancerous growths, too many limbs sprouting from its bulk. "Don't look," Bruce hissed. "Keep moving." They crept through the industrial wasteland, narrowly avoiding Zarchian patrols. Bruce's heart pounded as they reached the base of the ziggurat. "Jack, take half the team and create a diversion," Bruce ordered. "Marcus and I will push for the central chamber." Jack nodded grimly. "Good luck, you crazy bastard." As explosions rocked the outer defenses, Bruce and Marcus plunged into the depths of the alien stronghold. The corridors twisted at impossible angles, reality itself seeming to warp around them. They encountered horrors beyond imagination, writhing masses of flesh fused with alien machinery, screaming faces trapped in bubbling vats of green fluid. Bruce fought the urge to retch as they pressed deeper. "Bruce," Marcus called out, his voice strained. "I'm picking up something. It's like the whole building is alive, connected to some kind of hive mind." Bruce watched as Marcus's cybernetic implants pulsed with eldritch energy. The technomancer's eyes rolled back, his body shuddering. "This way!" Marcus gasped, pointing down a corridor that seemed to shift and breathe. It's close! They burst into a vast chamber, its dimensions twisting Bruce's mind as he tried to comprehend its scale. And there, at its center, hovered an entity that defied description. Zarkrill. Its form was a maelstrom of writhing tentacles and impossible geometries, bleeding through the fabric of reality itself. Bruce felt his sanity fraying at the edges as he gazed upon the cosmic horror. Now, he roared, unleashing a barrage of weapons fire. Energy beams and plasma bolts splashed harmlessly against Zarkrill's unfathomable form. A psychic scream tore through Bruce's mind, nearly driving him to his knees. Marcus stepped forward, his cybernetic implants glowing with unearthly power. The air crackled with energy as he engaged in a battle of wills with the alien god. Bruce watched in awe as reality itself seemed to warp and twist around them. For a brief moment, he saw Zarkrill falter, its connection to our dimension wavering. "Bruce!" Marcus screamed, blood pouring from his nose. "Do it now!" With trembling hands, Bruce activated the nuclear device. He hurled it at the weakened Zarkrill, praying it would be enough. The world went white. Bruce's ears rang as he stumbled through the collapsing ziggurat, dragging Marcus's limp form. They barely made it to the ship as the alien capital descended into chaos around them. As they limped into orbit, Bruce saw the massive Zarshian fleet emerging from Slipstream. His heart sank. Then, to his amazement, the planet's orbital defenses roared to life. Beams of energy lashed out, tearing through the unprepared Zarshian ships. Bruce allowed himself a grim smile as he plotted a course back to Earth. They had won a battle, but he knew the war was just the beginning. The bridge of the captured Zarshian carrier hummed with activity as Bruce Wells barked orders. "Target those capital ships! Concentrate fire on their weak points!" The massive alien vessel shuddered as its main guns unleashed devastating barrages. On the tactical display, Bruce watched Zarshian warships crumble under the combined assault of human and Romulan forces. "Sir, the enemy fleet is attempting to regroup," a sensor officer reported. Bruce's eyes narrowed. "Not if I can help it." "Kiris, are those orbital defenses online?" The Romulan commander nodded, his scaled fingers dancing across the alien controls. "Affirmative, human. Targeting systems locked on their hyperspace engines." "Fire at will." Beams of searing energy lanced out from the captured orbital platforms, punching through Zarshian shields and rupturing their faster-than-light drives in cascading explosions. Trapped and leaderless, the once mighty armada fractured into disorganized clusters. "All ships, press the attack," Bruce ordered. "Pick them off one by one." The tide of battle shifted as human and Romulan vessels swarmed the crippled Zarshian fleet. Bruce allowed himself a moment of satisfaction, but it was short-lived. A piercing scream tore through the carrier's command deck, dropping crew members to their knees. Bruce clutched his head, fighting waves of nausea as reality itself seemed to ripple and distort. "What the hell is that?" Jack's voice crackled over the comms, tight with pain. Marcus stumbled to a sensor station, his cybernetic implants pulsing with eldritch energy. "It's Zarkrill! The bastard's reconstituting itself." Through the view screen, Bruce watched in horror as a writhing mass of tentacles and impossible geometries coalesced within a yawning dimensional rift. Zarkrill's newly manifested form unleashed devastating blasts of energy that tore through allied ships without effort. "Evasive maneuvers!" Bruce shouted, gripping his chair as the carrier lurched violently. "Our weapons are useless against that thing." He turned to Marcus and Kiris, his mind racing. "We need a new plan, fast. Any ideas?" Marcus's eyes glowed with an unnatural light as he interfaced with the ship's systems. "The throne world. Its antimatter reactors are still active. If we overload them..." Karas hissed, baring sharpened teeth. "A singularity? You propose to tear a hole in the fabric of space-time itself?" Bruce nodded grimly. "It's our only shot. Jack, can you keep that thing busy?" "We'll do our best," Jack replied, his voice grim. "But make it quick. We're getting slaughtered out here." Bruce turned to his strike team. Let's move. We're going back down there. They fought their way through the chaos of the disintegrating Zarshian capital, battling hordes of maddened alien defenders. Bruce's rifle spat death as they pushed towards the central reactor complex. Marcus interfaced with the alien systems, his body convulsing as he initiated the overload sequence. It's done. We need to get out of here. Now. As they sprinted back to their shuttle, Bruce felt the very air around them growing heavy. Space itself groaned as the dimensional fabric strained and buckled. All ships, jump to slipstream, Bruce ordered as they rocketed away from the doomed throne world. Fire everything we've got at that rift. A final salvo of thermonuclear warheads detonated within the growing singularity. Bruce watched in awe as Zarkril's vast form was inexorably drawn into the collapsing maelstrom of fractured space-time. The view screen flared white as the Zarshian throne world imploded, taking the eldritch horror with it. Bruce's shuttle shuddered violently as they entered slipstream, barely outpacing the shockwave of unimaginable energies. Hours later, the battered remnants of the human Romulan fleet regrouped beyond the Orion Nebula. Bruce stood on the observation deck, staring out at the distant stars. They had achieved the impossible, but at a staggering cost. "Sir," Marcus called out, his voice unsteady, "you need to see this." Bruce studied the sensor data, a chill running down his spine. The galactic core seethed with space-time anomalies, echoes of the cataclysm they had unleashed. "What does it mean?" he asked quietly. Marcus shook his head, his cybernetic implants pulsing faintly. "I don't know, but something out there felt what we did, and it's—" The Dauntless shuddered as it emerged from slipstream, alarms blaring throughout the ship. Bruce gripped the arms of his command chair, scanning the bridge crew's faces. Exhaustion etched deep lines around their eyes, but grit burned in their gazes. "Status report," Bruce barked. Marcus's fingers danced across his console, cybernetic implants pulsing with alien energy. "We've arrived in the Epsilon Eridani system, sir, but long-range sensors are picking up something massive." The main view screen flickered to life, displaying a swirling vortex of impossible colors and geometries. Bruce felt his stomach lurch as he tried to comprehend its scale. "My God," he whispered, "is that—" "Nyarvok!" Karis hissed, scaled fingers clenching into fists. "The Entropy Devourer!" The Romulan commander's words hung heavy in the air. Bruce watched as tendrils of scintillating energy lashed out from the cosmic rift, consuming entire planets in their wake. Swarms of anti-drones swarmed through the system, leaving only void in their path. "Sir!" a sensor officer called out, voice cracking. "Multiple vessels detected. It's the remnants of our fleet." Bruce leaned forward, hope flickering in his chest. "Open a channel." The view screen split, revealing the haggard face of Admiral Chen. "Bruce, thank God you made it. We've lost contact with half our ships." "We don't have much time," Bruce replied, mind focused. "That thing out there, it's unlike anything we've ever faced. We need to warn every civilization in the galaxy." Chen nodded grimly. "Agreed. But how do we fight this?" Bruce turned to Marcus, who shook his head. "Conventional weapons are useless against non-baryonic matter. We'd be throwing rocks at a black hole." "Then we run," Bruce said, his voice low but firm. "We gather every ship, every life pod, every scrap of technology we can salvage, and we flee to the only place that thing can't reach." "The intergalactic void," Karis interjected, reptilian eyes narrowing. "A journey of unimaginable distance." Bruce nodded, turning back to the view screen. "Admiral Chen, spread the word. We're initiating a galaxy-wide evacuation. Every habitable ship, every cryostasis pod, every scrap of knowledge we can preserve. We're going to need it all." As Chen's image winked out, Bruce felt the weight of countless lives settle on his shoulders. He watched the cosmic horror writhe and grow, reality itself warping around its unfathomable form. "Plot a course to the nearest populated system," Bruce ordered, his voice steady despite the fear clawing at his gut. "We have a lot of people to save, and precious little time to do it." The Dauntless's engines hummed to life, accelerating away from the growing rift. But even as they fled, Bruce knew the true battle had only just begun. The fight for survival against entropy itself stretched out before them, a journey into the endless night with only the faintest glimmer of hope to light their way. The Dauntless shuddered violently as it tore free from the collapsing system. Bruce gripped the arms of his command chair, squeezing hard as he watched ship after ship disintegrate on the main view screen. "Evasive pattern Delta," he barked. "All hands, brace for impact." The bridge rocked as an entropic tendril lashed out, narrowly missing their hull. Alarms blared as the ship's structural integrity wavered under the onslaught. At the helm, Marcus's eyes glowed an unnatural blue, cybernetic implants pulsing as he interfaced directly with the ship's systems. His fingers danced across holographic displays, plotting impossible vectors through the chaos. "Hyperdimensional calculations complete," Marcus called out, voice strained. "Plotting safe vector through the gravimetric flux." Bruce nodded grimly. "Do it." The Dauntless lurched sickeningly as Marcus engaged the new course. Outside, space itself seemed to warp and twist. Bruce fought down a wave of nausea as reality bent around them. A piercing scream cut through the comms. Bruce's blood ran cold as he recognized Kyrus's voice. "Romulan warbirds, break off," he shouted. "You're too close to the—" The transmission dissolved into static. Bruce watched in horror as the massive Romulan vessels were engulfed by a swarm of anti-drones. Hull plating disintegrated without effort, antimatter reactors detonating in blinding flashes. "Kyrus!" Bruce called out. "Come in, Kyrus!" There was no response, only the void of space where proud warbirds had flown moments before. Days bled into weeks as the ragtag fleet pushed towards the intergalactic void. Bruce's eyes burned from lack of sleep as he studied tactical displays, searching for safe passage through the cosmic minefield of dying stars and radiation storms left in Nyarvok's wake. "Sir," a sensor officer called out, long-range scans detecting massive obstruction ahead. Bruce's heart sank as the view screen zoomed in on a writhing mass of exotic energy, blocking their path like a cosmic wall. "It's part of Nyarvok," Marcus said, his voice hushed with awe and terror. "A tendril manifested into our reality." Bruce watched helplessly as the first wave of ships attempted to breach the barrier. Fighters and cruisers alike were torn apart, crushed by incomprehensible forces. A hand gripped his shoulder. Bruce turned to see Jack, his oldest friend, eyes blazing with purpose. "I've got a plan," Jack said, "but you're not going to like it." Bruce listened in growing horror as Jack outlined his suicide mission. The experimental Phoenix, loaded with an antimatter payload that could rip a hole in space-time itself. "It's the only way," Jack said softly. "You know it is." Bruce wanted to argue, to order his friend to stand down, but the weight of billions of lives bore down on him, leaving no room for sentiment. "Godspeed, you crazy bastard," Bruce whispered, clasping Jack's arm one final time. The Phoenix streaked towards the writhing tendril, a tiny mote of light against the cosmic horror. Bruce held his breath as Jack's craft plunged into the heart of the abomination. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then reality itself screamed. A singularity bloomed within the tendril, warping and tearing at the very fabric of space-time. The Phoenix was consumed instantly, along with Jack. But in its death throes, the craft had carved a path through the impossible barrier. "All ships, jump now," Bruce roared. "Go, go, go." The Dauntless plunged into the rift, buffeted by forces beyond comprehension. Bruce's world dissolved into a maelstrom of light and sensation as they hurtled through the tear in reality. When his vision cleared, they had emerged on the other side. But many ships were missing, torn apart by the violent passage. There was no time to mourn. Long-range sensors shrieked warnings as hyperspatial wavefronts coalesced behind them. Nyarvok itself was manifesting, a cosmic predator of insatiable hunger. Bruce knew with cold certainty that they couldn't outrun it. Not anymore. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what had to be done. "All ships," he transmitted. Prepare for simultaneous slipstream jump. We're going to tear a hole in reality itself. As one, the battered fleet engaged their drives. Space rippled and tore as hundreds of slipstream conduits opened in perfect synchronization. Bruce felt a moment of vertigo as the Dauntless plunged into the resulting maelstrom. Behind them, Nyarvok's presence fractured, momentarily stunned by the cascading dimensional instabilities. It was all the opening they needed. The refugees poured through the transatomic lacuna, leaving their galaxy, and everything they had ever known, behind. They emerged into the vast emptiness between galaxies, an ocean of endless night. Bruce stared out at the starless void, feeling the weight of untold lives resting on his shoulders. He knew their struggle was just the beginning, but for now at least, they had escaped extinction. In the darkness between galaxies, the last remnants of humanity drifted, and...
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.